I'm 71 years old. I worked for 43 years. I saved what I could every month. I didn't spend recklessly. I didn't take risks. I retired when they said I had enough. The numbers worked out. Everything else didn't. This wasn't sudden. Nothing collapsed all at once. There was no emergency, no catastrophe I can point to. It just stopped feeling like a life I recognized. I look at old photos now more than I look at anything else. Faces I haven't seen in years, invitations I stopped accepting, calls I didn't return, moments I said later to. My name is Walter. I did what they told me to do. I worked the full term. I saved consistently. I waited for the right time. The right time never came. I started working at 19. Factory floor first, assembly line, then warehouse inventory when my back couldn't handle the standing anymore, then dispatch coordination for the last 15 years. 43 years total with the same company. I watched people around me live differently. Weekend trips with their kids, retirement parties at restaurants, plane tickets to see grandchildren, time off for weddings, birthdays, reunions. I didn't do that. I brought lunch in a cooler every day. I worked through holidays when they offered overtime. I stayed late when they needed someone. I didn't take the personal days. I didn't fly out to see my brother when he invited me to his lake house. I didn't go to my niece's college graduation. I didn't drive 3 hours to my nephew's wedding. I didn't visit my father the last summer before he died because I'd already used my vacation days. I told myself there would be time later, after I retired, after everything was secure. They said that's what mattered, the consistency, the discipline, doing the same responsible thing over and over, year after year, until you'd built something solid enough that you could finally relax, finally live. I built my entire life around that. There was a group at work that went out for drinks every other Friday. They invited me for years. I went once, maybe twice. I always said I had things to do. Errands, yard work, things that seemed important at the time. Eventually they stopped asking. There was a neighbor who used to invite me to backyard barbecues, summer weekends, just neighbors and friends. I said yes the first time. Then I started saying maybe. Then I stopped being invited. A woman I worked with used to organize volunteer days, food banks, community cleanups. She'd ask if I wanted to come. I always had a reason I couldn't. After a while, she stopped asking me and started asking someone else. When the company started offering early retirement packages, I was 60. A lot of people took them. They wanted out. They were tired. They took the reduced pension and left. Some of them traveled. Some of them moved closer to family. Some of them just started showing up to things they'd been missing. I didn't. I wanted the full calculation. I wanted every year to count. So I kept working. 61, 62, 65, 67. My daughter called and asked if I wanted to come visit for Thanksgiving one year. She said the kids were getting older and it would be nice to have me there. I told her I'd think about it. I didn't book the flight. Work was busy. I told myself I'd go next year. I didn't go next year either. When I finally retired, I sat down with all the paperwork spread across the kitchen table. I ran the numbers. It looked solid. The first year, I thought about the things I could finally do, the trips I could finally take, the people I could finally visit. I had time now. I pulled out my phone to call my daughter. I hadn't talked to her in a few months. I wanted to tell her I could come visit now, that I was ready. She answered. We talked for a few minutes. She sounded distant, polite. When I mentioned coming to visit, she said that would be nice. But the kids were busy with school and sports, and maybe we could figure it out later. Later. The same word I'd been using for decades. I called an old coworker, someone I'd worked with for 15 years. We used to talk about fishing, about going out on the lake when we both retired. I wanted to see if he still had his boat, if he wanted to finally make that trip. He didn't answer. I left a message, but he didn't call back. I looked through my contacts, names I recognized but hadn't spoken to in years. people I'd worked beside, people I'd said maybe next time to, people who'd eventually stopped asking. I realized I didn't know who to call anymore. The money came in every month, the bills got paid and everything worked the way I'd planned, but the invitations stopped coming. My daughter used to call every week, then every other week, then once a month, then only on holidays. Not because we fought, not because anything happened, just because the space between calls got wider and I never thought to close it. My brother used to send me pictures from his trips, his grandkids, family gatherings I'd said I couldn't make it to. The pictures came less often, then they stopped. The coworkers I'd spent decades beside retired and disappeared into their own lives. Lives they'd been building while I was working late, while I was saying next time. The neighbor who used to wave from his driveway stopped waving, not out of anger, just out of habit. I was never outside when he was outside. I was never available when he was available. Eventually, the gesture just faded. I started going through old photos, pictures from when I was younger, company picnics I'd actually attended, a birthday party someone threw for me when I turned 30, my daughter as a kid, sitting on my shoulders at a park. I didn't remember that day. I didn't remember the park. I only knew it happened because the photo existed. There were fewer photos as the years went on, fewer moments someone thought to capture, fewer gatherings I was part of. I wasn't excluded, I just wasn't there. And after enough years of not being there, people stopped expecting me to be. The gap wasn't financial, it was relational, and it had been widening for decades while I was standing perfectly still, waiting for the right time to step into it. There was no moment where I chose isolation, just 1,000 small choices to wait, to save the moment for later, to prioritize security over presence. By the time I had the security I'd been working toward, the people I'd planned to spend it with had learned to live without me. I have a box of old photos in the closet. I took it out last month and spread them across the kitchen table. There's one of me and 3 coworkers at a company barbecue. We're young, maybe late 20s. We're laughing about something I can't remember. One of them has his arm around my shoulder. I can't remember his first name. I know his last name was Morrison. I worked with him for 12 years. But I don't know where he is now. There's a photo of my daughter when she was 7. She's holding a fish she caught. I'm standing beside her. I'm smiling. I remember that day. It was a Saturday. I almost didn't go. I almost said I had things to do. But I went, and she caught a fish, and someone took a picture. I called her last week to ask if she remembered that day. She didn't answer. I left a message. She texted back a few hours later, said things were busy, said she'd call when she had time. She didn't call. There's a photo from a Christmas maybe 15 years ago. My brother and his family came to visit. His kids are opening presents. I'm sitting on the couch in the background. I'm not looking at the camera. I'm looking at something off to the side. I look tired. I don't remember what I was thinking about. Probably work, probably anything except the moment I was actually in. There's one of my father and me standing in front of his truck. I'm maybe 40. He's holding a toolbox. We'd just finished fixing something in my garage, a weekend project. He's smiling, and I'm looking at my watch. He died 3 years later. I didn't see him much in those 3 years. I was always busy, always working towards something. There's another one from my retirement party. Cake in the break room, a card everyone signed. I'm standing next to my supervisor. We're both smiling for the camera. The card is in a drawer somewhere. I haven't looked at it since that day. I thought retirement would be the beginning of something, the part where all the waiting finally paid off, where I could finally do the things I'd been putting off. But the people I'd been putting off had already moved on. 2 weeks ago, I drove past the park where my daughter caught that fish. It's still there, the same benches, the same trees. I sat in my car in the parking lot for 20 minutes. I thought about calling her, about asking if she wanted to bring her kids. if they wanted to fish. I didn't call. I didn't know if she'd say yes, and I didn't know if I could handle it if she said no. Last week, I went to the grocery store. I saw someone I used to work with. He was with his wife. They were laughing about something. I almost walked over, almost said hello. But I didn't know what I'd say after that. I didn't know how to explain the gap, the years, the silence. So I turned down a different aisle and left before he saw me. I went home. I sat down at the kitchen table and looked at the photos again. Faces I used to see every day. Moments that felt ordinary at the time. Moments I thought would repeat forever. They didn't repeat, they just stopped happening. And I kept waiting for the right time to get them back. There's one more photo I look at. It's from a work picnic maybe 20 years ago. There's a whole group of us, 10, maybe 12 people. We're all standing together. Someone's holding a camera at arm's length, trying to fit everyone in the frame. I'm on the edge, not quite in the center, not quite outside the group, just on the edge. That's where I stayed for 43 years. On the edge, close enough to be part of it, far enough away that I could leave whenever I needed to, whenever something more responsible called. I can name maybe half the people in that photo now. The rest are just faces. People I saw every day who became strangers because I never gave them the time to become anything else. The photo is faded now. The colors aren't as bright as they used to be. Neither is anything else. I did what they told me to do. I waited for the right time. By the time I was ready, no one was waiting anymore.